Hey, everybody. So I'm Jessie Belonzi, and thank you so much for joining the Clean Day Way today. So today I'm going to be doing Organizing 101 Lesson 3, and this is all about the purge. And I've been working really hard on this material for you guys because I think this is one of the biggest hangups people have when it comes to organizing is just how to throw stuff away, especially the stuff that seems or feels sentimental or the maybe one day items, which I'll get to that in just a second. So make sure you guys throw up your comments. I'm super looking forward to hearing from you and any input. If you guys have any questions, make sure to throw them up and I will make sure to get to them at the end of this little lesson. So I'm going to start with one of 5 amazing tips I have for you guys. And the first one is the maybe one day. So we all do this, especially with clothes. Men, women alike, we have the, maybe one day I'll gain a little weight and I'll need my fat clothes again. Or maybe one day I'll lose 20 pounds and I'll need my skinny clothes again. And so we just keep these items in our closets for like decades. And let's be realistic. If you do fit into those pants again one day, you're not going to want a bedazzled butt when you go out. So we're talking like 10 years out of style. So why are you hanging on to them is the real question. Is it just for hope's sake, or is it just this attachment to the person you once were when you clubbed with these bedazzled pants? We all know we've done it. So let's also think about who out there in this world would actually benefit from these clothes today. So this is actually something I had to do a few years ago. I had a ton of clothes in my closet that I think there's an age around 30. I'm not going to tell you how old I am because I'm several years older than that now. But right around 30, I think you find yourself looking at clothes and going, that totally is too young for me. I shouldn't be wearing that anymore. So I actually pulled out a ton of stuff that I used to love, threw it on. I'm like, yeah, it still fits, but I look like I'm trying to be 22 and I'm 32 or now 36. So I actually gave a lot of these clothes to my children who were teenagers and are still teenagers. And a lot of them fit them. And if they didn't want them, I donated them. I always have a donation box. So there's people out there that would love these clothes and that they would actually be pretty appropriate for. Letting go of the nostalgia can be hard. Also, I don't know about you guys. I'm super crafty and garden a lot and paint a lot. So I have the work clothes. I probably had at one point 10 paint shirts that were covered in paint. And I'm like, well, I'm going to need that if I'm working. So let's be realistic on that. If you're having duplicates of things, it's okay to let go of the duplicates. So you only need one paint shirt, one pair of work pants for that big project day where you're painting or, going through the garage. So cut down on the duplicates when it comes to the clothing. Also, when you start to really come to grips with looking at your clothes like, do I wear you? Do I love you? Do I really need you? And you start doing that on a regular basis, it's a lot easier to just reach into the closet to get dressed one day. You see that article of clothing, you're like, why am I even holding on to you? Stash it, throw it into your Goodwill box, your donation bag, get it out of the closet. Give yourself a little more space. So the clothes that you don't love, somebody might. It's time to get rid of them. Also, what about those items that haven't seen the light of day in forever? Maybe storage in the basement, you have just coats or old winter clothes or things that, how about dresses? I don't know how many women out there hold on to formal wear from high school that you're like, oh, maybe one day I could give it to somebody. I think if you're really holding on to stuff that long, I think it might be the day. It might be the day to find someone that can love it, because obviously you're not loving it anymore. And that item of clothing could be, really special to somebody. And once again, if it's already an antique, like if it's too antique that the Antique Roadshow won't even take it, scrap it. Just get rid of it. Or if it's beat up, full of holes, nobody's going to want it, it's time to go to the landfill. So these maybe one day items we all hold on to, especially with clothing, I think it's time. It's time to make that separation. So let it go. Um, Another part of the whole letting go, this is the step two. We all have the sentimental clingers. I have a ton of them. And so there's a couple great steps you can take to start kind of eliminating some of these things we hold on to that are really sentimental. In our hearts, they hold value, maybe not to others, but to us. So, for instance, I have a client that I've worked with for years that would hold on to every Christmas card, every holiday card forever. So, how about just downsizing, picking a few of your favorites, not all of them. So you don't need every Christmas card, maybe one or two. How about my favorite thing? And I know my sister and I learned this from my mother. She has a memory box and it's not super big. It's like a foot by 2 feet. And this memory box holds all kinds of amazing sentimental things, yearbooks, pictures of her family when she was growing up, love letters from her first boyfriends, your kid's first lock of hair, things like that. So these are things you don't want to throw away, but these are also things that you can start to really compile and have entirely too many yearbooks or entirely too many photos. So there's a few things we can do. A, keep the ones that are most important. And when your memory box is full and you can't fit anything else into it, go back through it because I guarantee after 5 or 10 years, there might actually be some things in that box that you're more willing to part with. Um, let's see. And one of my favorite things you can do when it comes to these sentimental items that are really hard to let go is use technology to find a way to actually preserve these items and keep them forever. So a picture is truly worth 1,000 words. So how about in your favorite yearbooks, you snap photos of your favorite pages and you upload them to a cloud-based storage system. So actually, anytime you want to look through your yearbook, you can go in to your photos on your cloud-based storage and go through them and see all these wonderful memories, but you don't physically have to keep the yearbook anymore. Same with Christmas cards and even, old dishes or old fun things that your grandma passed down to you that it's not your style, it's not your taste. You're never going to sit it out, but you don't want to let it go. Take some photos of it, set it up really cute on the table, take pictures just so you have it to remember. And one day you can tell someone all about these great items that were handed down to you. That now is making someone else really happy because you were able to pass them on to someone that can put them to use. So, letting go of those sentimental items will always be a challenge, but when you start to come to grips with the fact that it's not really bringing you joy, in fact, it's actually cluttering up your storage spaces, and there's a way to keep those memories alive, but let the physical item go. As soon as you come to grips with that, it'll be a lot easier to do. Okay, third rule is the 3-year rule. If you've had this item and it hasn't seen the light of day for 3 years, it's time to say goodbye. If you haven't worn it in 3 years, if you haven't pulled it out of storage, I know I have a ton of kitchen items that I will actually open the utensil drawer and there is a can opener that's probably been in there for 3-4 years. I haven't used it. Get rid of it. Why are we even keeping it? A mug in the back of the cupboard from your trip to Niagara Falls in 1999. Yeah, I don't know why that's there. So you see it every day when you go to get your favorite coffee cup, but that one's just sitting there. So it's time, put it in the box, put it in the bin to go to the donations. Just get it out of there. You're going to find so quickly when you start to grab these items from around the house that you're like, why am I keeping this? I don't even get it. You are going to see this amazing space open up. So much more room in your closet, so much more room in your drawers, and it's going to feel a lot more freeing to you. Less clutter is so emotionally satisfying. I promise. Okay, so creating a last chance box. This is a good one, especially for people that are really hung up on holding on to items and cannot seem to part with it, even though they've tried to talk themselves into letting it go, but they can't. So create the last chance box. Once again, like the memory box, Don't have it to be, too large. You want this to be able to hold a variety of items. But when you get to the point that you're going back to the last chance box with something you found around the house, you're like, oof, can't get rid of it. I'm going to put it in the box. I'll come back to this one day. You go back into the box and you see stuff that you're like, wow, this has kind of been in my last chance box for 6 years and I'm still not using it. Okay, it's time to let it go. So I could put these new items into the box to hold on to a little longer. Time kind of helps us separate from things a little bit. And you realize that you're holding on to it for kind of silly reasons. So give yourself a box. Do not start a second last chance box. Do not start a second memory box. You only need one. And when it's full, take the time, sit down, go through it, reminisce on it, and purge. Get rid of the stuff that you do not need. And the fifth step to purging, and guys, I'm serious. If you don't learn to wrap your head around the purge, come more comfortable with just getting rid of things and not holding on to everything, you are not going to really master organizing. Organizing is a skill, and throwing things away is a huge part of it. So, the fifth part of the purge is to purge often. Make sure, like I do on a regular basis, every day I'm looking around and I'm like, why am I holding on to this? Why am I holding on to that? I'm throwing it into my donation box on a regular basis. Once you make a habit of letting things go, it will be so much easier to cut down on the clutter. Things won't pile up so much because you'll always be in the mindset of, do I really need to keep this? I love my mother. If you guys met her, you would understand why Kiki and I have even founded the Clean Day Way. She has been such a pivotal part of raising my sister and I to be organizing masters. But the older my mother has become, the more she likes to cling on to things. Strange things like jars, tubs, boxes, things that I think that she's always in the mindset of, I could use this to organize bobby pins, or, I could keep my toothpicks in this jar. So she keeps all of these jars. So every time my sister and I go over to my house or my mom's house, which is often, we're like sneaking things out of the cupboards and throwing them away because mom's not going to do it. So we do it for mom. So we're kind of our mom's purgers of things. She would probably kill me if she was watching us. Hi, mom. Love you. Anyway, yeah, just little things that you're like, oh, you know what? I could use this jar for something, or I could paint a little flower on it and I could put all my cotton balls in it in the bathroom. Okay, fun idea. Great, grand. But if that jar is still sitting under the kitchen sink 4 years later and you haven't done anything with it, put it in the recycle bin. Be done with it. Let it go. Okay. Also, if you have a variety of kids' toys is a big one. If your kid doesn't play with it anymore, someone is going to love it. So just let it go, even if it's hard to part with the things that they feel sentimental because you hold on to these times when your kid was a toddler, when they played with their Polly Pockets or whatever, and you went, oh, I really want to keep them. Keep one or two and get rid of the rest because somebody's going to love that and somebody's going to put it to use. Toys are meant to be played with by children, not to be stashed in a box till they're antiques. Sorry, most likely they'll end up in the garbage can. So give them to somebody that's going to love it. So the 5 steps, once again, we have the maybe one day. You've got to stop saying maybe one day. If you're not using it, get rid of it. The sentimental hoopla that we all do with stuff. Start to learn to separate, keep the most sentimental, photograph the things you love the most, keep it in a drive somewhere so you could go back to it one day. The third step, the 3-year rule. If you have it for more than 3 years, start giving it some really serious consideration of why you are keeping it. Create the last chance box for those things you just can't seem to separate yourself with, and go through it often and reevaluate. And finally, purge often. Remember, every day there are things we're keeping that are silly to keep. I'm not a minimalist. If you were in my house right now, you'd kind of laugh at me because there's probably a lot of stuff around here that I don't need to keep. But if I were to keep everything I wanted to, I would need a second house just for my stuff. So we've got to be realistic about the space we have. we have to be realistic about if we'll ever use it. And remember, someone out there is going to love this item or items. So don't hold on to it. Don't be selfish. Let somebody else enjoy. So that is what I got for you guys today. I don't know if anybody has any questions or comments, but feel free to throw them up on this. I will definitely answer them in the comment feed later. And also, I think my sister and I are going to be back next week together for a live. So we are super excited to see you guys next week. I really hope you are all looking forward to things opening up out there, getting back to normal a little bit, enjoying some sun and some more spring-like weather. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will check you guys all out later. Bye. If you loved this video and want tons more valuable content just like it, make sure to click subscribe. You can find more from Clean Day Way and Clean Day Housekeeping Services on Facebook, Instagram, and more. Visit cleandayhousekeeping.com to learn all about our residential cleaning services provided throughout Western PA. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys again soon.